Probiotics. They are absolutely everywhere, right? In your yogurt, in special drinks, and in just endless rows of supplements at the store. We keep hearing they're the key to good health, but what does that actually mean, and how in the world are you supposed to pick the right one? Okay, let's dive in and see if we can solve this probiotic puzzle together.
You know that feeling? You're standing in the supplement aisle, just staring at this wall of bottles. It can feel completely overwhelming. And hey, if you've felt that, you are definitely not alone. Researchers actually call it a daunting task. You're just looking at all these bottles with different numbers, really strange-looking names, and some pretty big promises. It's a confusing space, for sure, and that's not by accident.
Because all that confusion, well, it fuels a massive industry. In the US alone, we spend over $35 billion a year on probiotics. The whole market is just flooded with these high-pitched marketing claims, but there's very little clear guidance, and that leaves the choice and, the risk pretty much up to us. So before we can even begin to talk about supplements, we have to zoom out a little. We need to talk about the world they operate in, your gut microbiota. Just picture this, bustling ecosystem of trillions of microorganisms living inside you. It's this incredibly complex inner world that is just crucial to your overall health. All right, now let's clear out probably the biggest point of confusion out there, probiotics versus prebiotics. It actually gets pretty simple when you think of your gut like a garden. Probiotics are like the new seeds you're planting. They're the live, beneficial bacteria that you're adding to the mix. But of course, seeds need food to grow, right? Well, that's where prebiotics come in. They are the fertilizer, types of fiber that feed all the good bacteria you already have, making your internal garden really flourish. And the great news is you can find this fertilizer super easily in your diet. Prebiotics are naturally found in all kinds of delicious foods. We're talking about things like garlic, onions, asparagus, and yep, even the humble banana and a bowl of oats are packed with the kind of fiber your good gut bacteria just love to eat. And it's the same exact story for probiotics. You can find these good soldiers in foods that have been fermented. Think about yogurt. You gotta make sure the label says live and active cultures. Or things like sauerkraut, and a bunch of other fermented foods. They're all great natural sources. So, okay, we're feeding these trillions of little organisms, but what are they actually doing in there? I mean, how do they affect everything from our digestion all the way to our mood? Well, it all comes down to a constant, really complex conversation that's happening inside our bodies 24/7. And this is a perfect illustration of one of the main ways they communicate. Let's just trace the past for a second. You eat some prebiotic fiber, maybe from some oatmeal. Okay, step 2, your gut bacteria get to work, and they ferment that fiber. The byproduct of that process is a set of really powerful compounds called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs for short. One of these, called butyrate, is an absolute superstar. It feeds the cells of your colon, helps calm inflammation, and, this is the really cool part, it sends signals all the way up to your brain.
And look, this isn't just a theory. This is cutting-edge science. A recent study from UCLA finally showed direct causal evidence for this gut-brain connection. The gut bacteria produce those SCFAs, which then activate something called the vagus nerve, which is basically the superhighway of information connecting your gut directly to your brainstem. So a healthy gut is literally sending healthy signals straight to your brain.
Okay, so the science is clear. A healthy gut matters a lot. The logical next step seems to be, great, I'll just go grab a probiotic supplement. But this is exactly where the marketing hype stops and the hard evidence begins. Because there is a huge, crucial catch here that most people just don't know about. Now this right here, this slide pretty much demolishes the idea that a probiotic is a probiotic. Just look at this data. We have the exact same strain, this beneficial yeast called Saccharomyces boulardii I745. For preventing traveler's diarrhea, the evidence is graded as strong, solid. But for preventing a different, really nasty bacterial infection, C. difficile, the evidence for that very same strain is weak. Same soldier, different battle, and a vastly different result. So this is the big takeaway, the crucial point. Probiotic benefits are not a one-size-fits-all deal, not even close. Their effectiveness is incredibly specific. Thinking you can just take any old probiotic for any issue you have, it's kind of like trying to use your car key to open your front door. It just won't work. This brings us to a simple framework for making much smarter choices. Researchers have identified 3 critical factors. First is strain specificity. This means it is not enough to just see the species on the bottle, like Lactobacillus rhamnosus. You need to look for the specific strain, like the GG at the end. That's the highly trained specialist. Next is disease specificity. Just like we saw, a strain that's proven to be great for one condition might do absolutely nothing for another. And finally, mode specificity. A probiotic that helps treat an active problem might not be effective at all when it comes to preventing it from happening in the first place. You have to get all three of these right. But let's say you've done all your homework. You found the right strain for the right disease in the right mode. You think you're good to go, right? Well, you're still not done. There's one more major hurdle. What's actually in the bottle that you're about to buy? Because the supplement industry has pretty limited oversight, quality control can be a huge problem. So here are the red flags you need to look for. If the label doesn't name that specific strain, that's a big one. Also be really wary if you can't find any info on the manufacturer's quality control. And you should know, studies have found products with way fewer live bacteria than promised, or even worse, contamination with other stuff. The bottom line here is simple. If a health claim sounds way too good to be true, it almost certainly is. So the next time you find yourself in that aisle, you can be an empowered consumer, not a confused one. You can actually cut through all that noise by asking the single most important question of all. Is this specific product I'm holding built on rigorous, strain-specific scientific evidence, or is it just built on hype? Because that answer, well, it makes all the difference.